Hello and welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Alison and I'm the senior children's worker and founder of the Urban Family. And today I have finally come back with 5 more games that you can play on Zoom with kids. So I made a video quite a few months ago now and promised to make 2 more. So this is the second video. I do apologise, but lockdown was a lot busier than I ever anticipated it to be. But things are easing up now and I'm going to start making more videos. So I will make this today and then upload it because I'm not going to edit it. And hopefully next week I will get part 3 up. So that will give us 15 games to play on Zoom, which should keep anybody going. I just want to add, if you have any games that you've been playing on Zoom with kids, then please post them in the comments below. Give this video a like and then subscribe to the channel because I'm going to be uploading more content on a regular basis about children's ministry and the life of a children's worker and that kind of thing. So I hope that you will join the community and let me know if there's any videos that you want me to make. So I'm going to make this no edit. I'm going to make it as quick as I possibly can do because I do like to waffle and we're going to try not to waffle. So part 1 of this series, I will try to link it. I don't know, everybody says they'll link it, but I will give my best go to try and link it so that you can watch it if you've not already watched it. Doesn't matter what sequence you watch them in, they're 5 separate games. Okay, so the first game I'm going to talk about today is Pictionary. It's a great game. You can share a whiteboard on Zoom and then you can draw on that and using your mouse. I also have an iPad that I would log into Zoom with and then I would use my Apple Pencil to draw on my iPad so that I could see all the children on my computer screen as well as be able to see the shared screen without any any pictures on top of it. And to be fair, this game, you don't have to be any kind of artist. You just need to be able to manipulate the mouse and move it around in order to draw something. The children generally will guess what it is. And if you're stuck looking for words to use for your Pictionary game, then just Google Pictionary word generator for kids and you'll find plenty of websites where you can just get random words. I usually pick about 10 words that I know that I can A, draw, and B, the children will get as well, and then we start to play that game during a Zoom session. Obviously I pick 10. We might not necessarily go through all 10 items. We might only play 5 or 6 rounds of the game, but we do it just within the time scale that we have available. If the child wins, they get a point, and points mean prizes for them. So they enjoy that. We just give a point off if they won the game. Unfortunately, because of the way we have Zoom set up, because we work with young children, they can't share their screen, so they can't be the drawer. But if you're working with older teenagers and they have their own Zoom account, the possibility is that you could, if they win, they could then be the person that draws. So that is another way of playing the game. Game number 2. So number 2 is Kim's game. Now, I'm not 100% sure if this is a real game or one that my mum made up when I was a kid, but we seem to play it at every birthday party as a child. And so the physical game would be to come in with a tray full of little objects and something to cover up with. So usually in our case, it was a tea towel. And you would get 60 seconds to study the objects on the tray, and then they would be covered up, and you had to write down from memory as many of the items that you could. So it might be things like sellotape, scissors, a pen, that kind of thing, all laid out on a tray. And there might be something like 10 items, and you have to try and recall all 10. So we just showed them up at the screen like I've done now. We would say the word and show them quite slowly. So scissors, sellotape, Sharpie. Okay, and then the hope is, and then they would get 60 seconds to write down as many as they could. We would then go around the room and ask the kids what they wrote. And if somebody else has got if somebody else has got the answer and it was correct, then they get a point. And then at the end of the game, they add up the points, and the person with the most points wins the game. There's lots of other ways that you can then play this game. So we played it digitally as well. So we just put images on a PowerPoint slide and then showed it to them for 60 seconds and then took it off and they had to write it down. We also did a variation of it, what is missing. And so I only had 8 pictures on the slide, and then I took it off, displayed it for 60 seconds. Then we had 20 seconds with nothing on the screen. And then we showed a second image which had one of the items missing, and they had to say, the first person to put their hand up and say what was missing won the prize. So that's kind of 2 versions of the same game, or 2 or 3 versions of the same game. So there's lots of ways that you can play games on Zoom, and you just have to change a little bit because weirdly the kids think it's a brand new game, and you kind of freshen up your approach. So Kim's game is game number 2. Game number 3 is I Spy. And so I would not be doing very good with my background at the moment, because how we played it was everybody had their camera on, and you would start off by saying, I spy with my little eye, and you would be looking for something in the background of somebody's screen. So in order to help make the game interesting, myself and the other team members and some of the older children had virtual backgrounds, and I would just make up an image with lots of different random images in it, like a slice of pizza or a flag or a pair of slippers, you know. So I would put a selection of random objects in my background so that it helped, because otherwise they'd be like, oh, I can see a light switch, a door and a green leaf, you know. So there wasn't very much to choose from. But with that game, when you won the answer, so if you guessed correctly, then it was your turn to say I Spy, and you could choose which background you were picking. And it kept the children really focused, and they were all sitting staring intently at their screen. So it worked really well, and it's very simple. There's no preparation needed for it. You don't need to buy anything. It's just up and ready to go. So I Spy with my little eye. And if you're sitting with an interesting background, you don't need a virtual background. Okay, game number 4. This did need some preparation. I made up a version of Battleships. So normally Battleships, I know there's like a board game version of it, but as a child we used to play it with 2 pieces of paper, and we would sit opposite each other. We'd make a grid, and then we would just put X's in the grids where our boats were, and then we would banter back and forward as giving out grid reference to see who had a hit or a miss. So I came up with a similar version of that. We printed out a grid. So I made a grid in PowerPoint and printed it out and sent it out to the children. I also went a bit OTT, and I drew some little boats and coloured them in and printed them out and made stickers out of them, just to make it a little bit more exciting and interesting. So the children had 11 stickers of boats that they could place anywhere they liked in their grid. And then we called out the grid references, and the last child standing, the kids that had at least one boat left at the end, was the winner. And if it was taking too long, then we would stop the game short. You know, sometimes you have to be flexible with your time, so we would stop the game short, and there might be 2 winners. But whoever still had a boat left would be the person that won. And generally, we could get through the whole grid. So I think our grid was maybe 5 or 6 by, I think it was maybe 6 by 5. So they had just 30 squares to put 11 boats. And then they would just, as soon as they were out, they would just tell us that they were no longer participating in the game because they'd lost all their boats. But again, they liked it. It was quite interactive. They had something to do. They had to put their stickers on the sheet, and they were listening out for grid references. So it went really well. Obviously, with some of the younger children, they needed a little bit more help and support. But on the whole, anybody over the age of 6 managed to complete the game quite successfully. So the final game that I've got today, game number 5, is an observation game. And so a little bit like Kim's game, we would put up an image on the shared screen. So I would put an image into PowerPoint and share it. And all we got the children to do was then answer questions about the image that they saw on the screen. Alternatively, we showed a movie trailer. So we would show that via YouTube. And then we asked questions about what took place. So what colour of socks was the little girl wearing? What kind of hat did the man have on? That kind of thing. So we asked lots of questions, maybe 6 or 7 questions. And again, the children would raise their hand to say if they knew the answer. And we gave a point for every correct answer. So those are my 5 games for playing with children on Zoom. And I will be back very soon with another 5 games for kids to play on Zoom. So until then, take care, have a wonderful week, and God bless you. Bye.